Okay, so now I want to talk, or I would like for you to talk about your personal experiences with healthcare, your personal time that you've spent in healthcare institutions.
So, I was talking about feeling generally supported and taken care of when I was growing up. And then, it, because I was a kid, it was healthy families, I believe. And through that,
What's healthy families?
it was, uh, it was basically, an insurance, option. It was specifically for like children, I guess. And it was, I just remember being very holistic, like, that there wasn't really ever, issues with like the little things that I needed, and for both me and my sister. And again, this is something that was not acceptable to my brother. um, but yeah, it was just very like holistic. And then, little things like I was about 10 when I, took a hearing test that showed that I needed hearing aids. At that time I had moderate hearing loss, and, I had to get fitted for hearing aids. And hearing aids, I learned, were pretty expensive, but we didn't really talk about the cost because they would cover it. But like I kind of took for granted the fact that, these hearing aids last about 4 or 5 years, 3 to 5 years, and then, whenever I need new ones, I'd be able to get them.
Was it an illness that made you have hearing loss? Was it an illness that made you have hearing loss?
It's, I have, I think they've described it as like congenital. So like, my dad is deaf in one ear, but it didn't actually show up in tests until I was 10. It was weird. It was very weird. But my earliest memories of, growing up had to do with like I thought the TV volume always was supposed to be all the way up. I thought that was normal. But that's where I could hear it. But I remember everyone was saying like it's too loud, and I'm like, what? But there were like, it was just little things like that. And it wasn't until I was in 5th grade that we took a test, and they were like, oh god, like you shouldn't be able to. Um, we're not sure how you were able to talk. Like most kids that
They
have this
can't.
hearing are mute. Like,
Yeah.
so I think, looking back, it was not because of any kind of support I had. It was because I didn't realize until later I read lips a lot. It
Wow.
was like natural. I had no one, and obviously no one was telling me to, because no one knew I had issues with hearing. So it was weird because like I was saying, like it was, there was all that support from medicine, but then there was this thing I had to figure out on my own somehow.
You never had speech lessons?
I just was in school, just like normal, like general classes, like with everybody else. There was no, like separate like classes designated for that. It was just with everybody else. So it was like, I don't know, but I mean, it's really weird to think of like, if I hadn't, I don't know where I'd be right now.
It's amazing that you haven't. My question, I guess, is do you think because your family was already like, well, we gotta know how to, like, it better be a big deal for us to go to the doctor because it's already so stressful
Yeah,
that you just kind of like figured it out?
maybe. I mean, I think I just remember my decisions, maybe with this a little more unconsciously, but even with like whether or not I would invite friends over, whether or not I would ask for my parents to buy something. Basically, it was framed around like, how do I make myself as little of a burden as possible for my parents, because I saw they had so much already. Um, so I think, that also had to do with, I think that seeing myself as a burden that intensified even more when I had my, hearing aids. In that, um, even though I started using them the summer before I started middle school, I didn't ask for any additional accommodations until I started college.
Wow. And what would those accommodations have been?
There would be like, I mean, usually be like having a note taker or having captions on video, audios, things like that used in class. Using microphone, even just, people being mindful of how they're speaking. Not even that kind of advocacy was happening for me. Basically because, I don't know if it's like, I thought that with the hearing aids, like that should be enough. Like I don't want to ask for too much. I don't want to be an inconvenience. Like, for my, one, for any classroom, like I don't want to like put that much attention on myself because like this is at the same time that I was an honor student and often the only brown honor student in all my classes. So I'm like, I'm already visible enough. So with this, it's like that constantly proving that I'm good enough to be in this room. And then I'm feeling like if I ask for more help, then I'm disproving that or something. And at the same time that I'm watching my mom try to advocate for my sister and her learning disabilities. And basically the way that she started doing this super early on, like in elementary school, but because we wouldn't be able to pay out of pocket like a lot of other families that get all these accommodations, I would just hear about like these horrific meetings with boards where they would literally be, whenever they get my sister alone, they'd be like trying to pressure my sister into saying that my mom was making her do all this.
Wow.
And they would talk about basically trying to disprove that my sister had any disability at all because we wouldn't be able to pay for it. So it's like the way it was structured was like we have all this great technology to use if you can pay for it. And like they honor these families that like I remember like this kid had a like her parents work for like Hewlett Packard or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they like they give all this money to make sure that their kid is getting all these things that their specific classes are accommodating. At the same time that they're not looking at anyone else. So it's like, it's obvious.
So these are rich people.
Yeah, basically, and that's framed as positive by even the school, but it's basically saying like it's like, oh, we're not like trying to hurt anybody. I'm just focusing on like giving the best to my kid. Sorry if your kid can't get that, but so it's like, it's just maintaining systemic like class differences and what we have access to. So I'm seeing that. So with that, I'm like, I don't, like my mom's already gone to these awful meetings for my sister. I don't want like another one. Like what if they do the same thing with this? Just asking for as little as possible, basically.
How much are the hearing aids?
So this is something I learned after I aged out of insurance, which I did when I was like 19, I think. Mm-hmm. For like 5 years I just didn't have insurance. It's a range, but because my hearing is actually declined, I need like hearing aids that benefit severe hearing loss. $1,500 each is generally how much. So that's how much like my old hearing aids were. Like I didn't realize like I was just wearing like $1,500 in my ears, like but that's something that became like.
Are they like now. Is it like, this is the base model and you can get like the higher end model, or is it just like $1,500?
I wasn't really sure about that. Like I know like I remember different company names depending on which doctor I was going to. So like when I was getting it through Kaiser, when I was under Healthy Families, they had some pretty like well established, I'm guessing pretty high end options. And then in the year that I was uninsured, there was I forgot what the like there was some kind of program that was like basically meant to support low income, uninsured folks until I think 24 was that cutoff. So I got hearing aids through them, and it was a completely different company. So I don't know how like they decided like which one goes with which hospital or which insurance program. But with those, it was I remember the process being super rushed because while they were after the fitting and while they were like being processed, they did some processing of the my forms and determined that we don't qualify.
Why?
We weren't poor enough, apparently.
Oh. So, so can you talk for a minute about your fundraiser for your new hearing aids?
My what?
The fundraiser or the
oh yeah, sure. That was it was not on my radar until I talked to Sabrina actually. So it was during because she's my boss, and generally like we had just finished a program, and she was like giving me a hug, and she noticed that it was making a lot of squeaking, and she was like, I've been noticing like a little more feedback lately, like are they okay?
They
and I'm
have
like,
feedback in them?
yeah, they're microphones, so
I just heard it.
yeah, like it's like, well, this one basically what the fundraiser is specifically for is because these are about 5 years old, but I'm at a point where I can't get new ones, so
because why can't you get new ones?
Well, basically, so I have insurance through my dad's work, but it's super limited in that like they'll cover warranty fees, that kind of thing, but I have to pay for actually buying them, so it'd be $3,000 for both. But I'm at a point where like even like I'm at the end of the range when I should be getting new ones, but I can't. And they've been. I feel like they've been kind of low on, like it's been weird. Like I've been going through this whole year knowing that they're not working, but feeling like I have to just suck it up and do it.
Are they implants?
No, they're
just in.
They're just in. So.
Oh.
So has a mold into the ear, and then like this is the microphone.
Oh, okay.
So it's like it's a machine. It goes off like little batteries, but it's a microphone, so it's like. I think my biggest struggle has been like, in spaces where a lot of people are talking at once, it's hard to differentiate like, the voice of like the main person I'm trying to listen to. And then lately this is like actually pretty broken, so.
All right.